Noise Radio. Powered by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. All Noise Radio is an internet radio station that's fully produced by graduates of the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. From modern rock to old school hip hop, country to classical, news, talk, sports, and more. It's the noise you can't ignore. Log on to allnoiseradio.com. Fire up the station. Find out more about your favorite jocks. Get the latest CSB news and more. Plus, you can take All Noise Radio with you on the go for free. Just download the Live 365 app to your iPhone, iPod Touch, or BlackBerry and search All Noise Radio. Check out tomorrow's broadcasters today at allnoiseradio.com. Powered by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
Sit back down and shut your trap. It's time for
Keeping It Sports with M3, right here on All Noise Radio.
Are you ready?
Are you ready?
Well, I'll need some beer.
Are you ready?
You have to ask me nicely.
Come on now, don't be bashful.
Are you ready? Are you ready for
Place for the best sports talk and news surrounding each league.
I can prove it with my usual flawless logic.
Hey man, this time I'm gonna do it my way.
What's your name again?
And now, here's your host, M3, Mike Rosansky. Coming to you from Cherry Hill, New Jersey. It's time for Keeping It Sports with M3, powered by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope everything's going well for you here on this Monday, the 23rd day of December, the final couple days before the big day, Christmas Day, the day that, in preparation for, everybody tends to freak out about. And, never more obvious, never more evident than on my car ride in here today, because as you may see if you're watching this live through Facebook or on Twitter, you're saying, kind of late for the podcast to start, getting started, about 20 minutes after 3 o'clock. Well, got a little bit delayed today coming in to Cherry Hill on the fact that they have an on-ramp coming into Cherry Hill off of 295 right after a bridge at about 1,000, maybe less than that, maybe about 500 feet right after that. There's an off-ramp into a, shopping center there. So you have people in the right lane trying to get over to that far right lane, and you have people that are coming in off of 295 trying to get onto the road at the same time. So kind of caused a little bit of a traffic jam there. But hey, thankfully I'm here, safe and sound. Hopefully all of you are doing your Christmas shopping or got done with your Christmas shopping in the same way, so we can all enjoy this holiday. But before we get to the holiday, got plenty of things to talk about today, especially with the NFL, which was the gift that kept on giving over the weekend, especially when you take into effect with, bowl games getting going in college football slightly, but not, the ones that we're fully attentive on, not the ones that, unless you're a diehard fan of a certain school, you're not paying attention to, the Bahamas Bowl or the Makers Wanted Bowl or whatever they're calling these. You can pretty much, if you have the money to, you can get a bowl game named after you. They got 40 of them and plenty of room to name one after you. But with this week being, the postseason in college football, it allowed an opportunity for the NFL to step in and take over our Saturdays. And Saturday, I've got to say, 3 games on, all of which got to watch via the NFL Network. Very fun, very exciting day on Saturday. Every game, had an element of postseason potential postseason eligibility involved in it. you start off with the Texans at the Buccaneers, and the Texans have been a very weird team this year. They've won the games that we think they shouldn't, like beating the Patriots, and then they lose games like to the Broncos a couple weeks ago, getting blown out, that were stunned they lost. So it wouldn't have shocked you either way what happened with them here, especially going up against a Buccaneers team that at this point is only playing for pride, is only playing for, developing their players for next year and continuing the growing confidence that Jameis Winston has built these last 4 weeks, being a prominent part of their 4-game winning streak. But as you know, with Jameis Winston, as many yards he can put up, as many deep bombs he can throw down the field, he is also prevalent or can rather easily give up interceptions. And that was once again the story for Winston on the day. A game that, if you just look at it based on the stat sheet, you would think the Buccaneers whooped the Texans' ass, outgaining them 435 to 229. You're looking at this and you're saying, wow, the Buccaneers really came to play today. They're moving the ball up and down the field. But Jameis Winston, another day in which he threw 4 interceptions, and it was almost comical, each one of these. And you look at it, his first pass of the game, throws a pick 6 to Bradley Roby. The second game in a row, he throws a pick 6 on his first pass of the game. Then they come back on their very next drive, almost throws another pick 6 to Justin Reed. This was called back thanks to a illegal blindside block penalty. But on their first 2 drives, it was just a nightmare for the Buccaneers, how they started this game. You look at the first 6 drives of the game for them. Interception, blocked field goal after they get the long run by Peyton Barber to set them up in field goal position, already down by 10. Finally get on the board with a field goal. Jameis throws another interception early in the second quarter, and then Barber has the fumble. The only thing that was saving them in this game is the fact that the Texans, they're getting good field position, but they're not moving the ball very well. It wasn't a spectacular day for Deshaun Watson by any means necessary. He threw an interception late in the first half that got the Buccaneers right back into it in their own territory, allowed it to be tied going into halftime. But, the Bucs, as I said, after that, really had nothing going. I mean, they're moving the football well, but weren't able to get in the end zone, weren't able to get any points on the board. And the Texans, they just, they survived. That's the best way you could put it. The best thing that they did on Saturday was win this game. There's nothing you take out of this, whether it be from Watson, from anybody on this team, other than their defense being timely with some of their turnovers. There's nothing they did spectacular in winning this game. And it's the kind of game that if they played this way in the postseason, they're going home very early. But hey, maybe they'll get a little bit of a boost of energy due to the fact it sounds like J.J. Watt may be coming back in the first round. But after that, you had 2 games where a lot was on the line for both teams. You have Patriots-Bills, Patriots trying to clinch their 11th straight division title, while the Bills, they win on Saturday, they win out, and the Patriots lose out, could win the division for the first time since the mid-90s. But the Bills showed that they are kind of a fraudulent team. They're good at beating up the teams they're supposed to, taking advantage of the Cowboys issues, taking advantage of teams with third string and backup quarterbacks. But when it comes to prime time, when it comes to the spotlight of going up against the big boys in your division, the guys that have always been that looming shadow over you, they just were not up to par. I mean, you look at it, outside of a couple of chunk plays to John Brown, to Dawson Knox, Josh Allen was not good on Saturday. No, he had a couple scrambles there, a couple rushes that forced the first down, especially on that fourth down in the second half. But a lot of his best plays were just little dump-offs to Cole Beasley. Other than that, the Bills were not moving the ball very well. They had plenty of opportunities to take control of this game. Especially, you get the big play by Dawson Knox right before halftime, set them up at a 1st and goal. Able to score when Allen dumps it off to the left tackle, who was ruled eligible on the play. But outside that, the Bills, were kind of a fraudulent offense for most of the day, and eventually Brady and the Patriots got things going with the ground game. They didn't have the big chunk plays, but what they had were the timely plays, is the clutch plays, which you come to expect from a Julian Edelman. Hell, Rex Burkhead, who thought he was still even in the league, he has the go-ahead touchdown for them after bouncing off 3 potential tacklers there. And the Bills just were not able to recover there after blowing the late lead in the fourth quarter. So Patriots clinched their 11th consecutive division, while the Bills, not sure how they're going to play out this last game of the season, knowing that they can't move up from the 5 spot. They're pretty much locked into facing whoever's going to be the 4 spot in the AFC, whether it be the Texans or the Chiefs. But in the nightcap, you got 49ers, Rams holding on for dear life for their postseason lives. Well, the 49ers, as we know, it's been a back-and-forth battle between them and the Seahawks in recent weeks as far as control for the NFC West. And, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't always the greatest showing for Jimmy Garoppolo through a couple of interceptions there, one to in the later stages of the second quarter, one to start off the second half. But their defense, kept them in this game. Never let the game get out of reach. And I thought what was really the turning point here, what really killed the Rams, they seemed to have a good hand on this game, had control of things with about 4 minutes to go before halftime, allow the long touchdown to get it within a 1-score game, and then Goff throws the interception to Fred Warner less than a minute to go in the first half. That allowed the Niners to take the lead heading into halftime, and from there it was kind of just a field goal fest for the Rams for the rest of the day. They, Gurley had a couple touchdowns on the day, but never truly got going, and this has been kind of a subpar year for him. I know dealing with an ongoing knee situation there, but it was just a ugly, disheartening way for the Rams, year to come to an end. They still got 1 game left, but this loss knocked them out of playoff contention, and just a killer. Watching your season go down the tubes like that after going to the Super Bowl last year, getting off to a 3-0 start, and then just being up and down ever since. So, it was good day, interesting day of football on Saturday. Set us up for what was a very interesting remainder of Week 16 on Sunday afternoon, which I'll have plenty of time to get to that. Got a lot of thoughts on things that went down this week, from a firing that took place to teams battling for draft position, teams battling for playoff seeds. Probably the most talked about game of the day, the Eagles-Cowboys. Have plenty of thoughts to go around and everything going on, and I'll get to that through the next 45 minutes or so here. So I'm glad you could join me on this Monday afternoon, whatever you may be doing right now, whether you're listening to the podcast version later on in the day, you're watching live through Facebook or Twitter. Glad you could join me. Continue to join me here. So sit back, relax, help put your feet up on the table, if I can say that correctly, and continue keeping it sports with M3.
I'll be back.
You know, our jobs occupy more than half our waking hours. Shouldn't we be doing something we love? Call Connecticut School of Broadcasting at 1-800-TV-RADIO or log on to gocsb.com. Since 1964, Connecticut School of Broadcasting, with a network of 12 campuses from Massachusetts to Miami, has helped place thousands of grads as DJs, sportscasters, entertainment reporters, behind the scenes in audio and video production, every aspect of the broadcast media. Connecticut School of Broadcasting has trained men and women of all ages and backgrounds in a matter of months, not years. Learn by doing from area radio and TV pros. Call 1-800-TV-RADIO or log on to gocsb.com. Remember, it's never too late to love what you do. Day and evening classes begin soon. Get trained. Get connected now.
Welcome back to Keeping It Sports with M3. Hope you're all enjoying your Monday afternoon. If you're watching via Facebook or Twitter, whatever outlet you're watching right now, you may notice the hat that I'm wearing right now, a Santa hat that I bought at MetLife Stadium yesterday as I was leaving the final home game for the New York Jets. Jets season ticket holder here, as many of you may know. Wanted to get in the Christmas spirit a little bit, show some festiveness, because I don't have one of those, ugly sweaters for any of my sports teams. Wanted to have something Christmas themed that was also sports themed. So got this at the fan gift shop there. And, I think I look pretty good in it. I know a lot of people will differ in that opinion, but hey, your loss. Now, I was mentioning before that there was actually a firing over this weekend. We should expect a lot of heads to roll in the next week or so. There's going to be a lot of change because, as we know, next Monday is the infamous Black Monday in the NFL. So there'll be a lot of changes being made, a lot of things going down over this next week. Coaches being fired, potentially GMs being fired. Well, we've already seen one firing in the last couple of weeks, Ron Rivera getting fired by the Panthers. We saw another one over this week, and this time it wasn't a coach. It was a front office executive, with the Jaguars firing executive vice president of football operations, Tom Coughlin. And quite frankly, I'm not surprised about this. You could have seen this coming, because the biggest problem with Tom Coughlin, and I give him a lot of credit, he's very energetic, lively for his age. He comes off as someone that's at least 5 years younger than whatever his birth certificate says he is. And in his mind, he still wants to be a head coach. But as we know, in every walk of life, no one will ever admit it, there's always a little bit of ageism. There's always a little bit of, people holding how old you are against you. And in this case, franchises are worried about giving Tom Coughlin a head coaching job because they want someone that is that young, innovative, offensive mastermind in the form of a Sean McVay. Even though let's slow it down on his Canton induction. And they want someone that they think will be there for a while. They won't keep rolling through coaches having to make a change again in another 3 or 4 years because the guy is retiring. But Tom Coughlin, as an executive, is still running with some of his old school mantra that he was as a head coach. And you look at the fact that he changed all the clocks in the Jaguars facility to being on what they call Coughlin time, where his mindset has always been, if you're not 5 minutes early, you're 10 minutes late. So he was fining guys for being late when they were in reality on time. He was fining players for being missing or being late to OTAs when those are voluntary. Those, more times than not, the practices that occur in May and June, those are voluntary for the players. They're not required to attend those. And he wanted to put his foot down, set some kind of discipline, but the players were clapping back at that. And that was all those fines for things that weren't necessarily rule breakers were pissing off the Players Association. They sent various letters to the Jaguars wondering, hey, what the hell is this? This is not in the CBA. This is not collectively bargained. And we're letting it be known that they're going to warn players that are impending free agents about joining you. So the Jaguars, they had to make this change. They had to get him out of there. And this is probably part of the reason why over the last 3 weeks to a month, this team has quit on the season. And you saw San Diego travel across the country, and I know the Chargers are LA, but they'll always be a San Diego team in my mind. You saw the Chargers travel across the country and whoop their ass because the Jaguar players decided not to play that day. You saw on Sunday them play like dogs against the Falcons, allow a 14-0 lead before you could even sit down and get comfortable. All right, so there needed to be some kind of change in this organization. Now, I don't know if this is going to lead to any other change, whether it be with the general manager Caldwell or the head coach Doug Marrone, but this change needed to be made. Tom Coughlin has never got him with the times, and unfortunately for him, it cost him his job in the end. Now, a lot of things going on in week 16, that will impact week 17. I was talking about the Saturday games before, but interesting things going on this week. Like, first off, you saw the Rams clinch the number 1 seed in the AFC, and it was only a matter of when, not if, in this situation. So now, Ravens, not the Rams. The Rams are out of the postseason. I apologize for that mistake. Ravens clinched the number 1 seed in the AFC, and the only bad part of the day for the Ravens, you got a ho-hum kind of performance from Lamar Jackson, but you get exactly what you're hoping not to happen at this point in the year, and that's an injury. And the number 1 seed helps him out here with the injury sustained by Mark Ingram in the fourth quarter when he suffered a left calf strain that at first we feared was worse than that. Thankfully, he looks like he's going to be all right. Looks like he'll be ready to go for their first playoff game. But now he's got 3 weeks to rest. Won't play week 17. They got the bye week for the wild card round, and it gets him all rested up, ready to go for whoever they're playing, whether it be the Bills, whether it be the Chiefs, the Texans, whoever that team is, whether it be the 6th seed, depending on if it's Titans, Steelers. He hopefully will be good to go. Unfortunately, that's not the only story you come away from this game with. You look on the other side of the field, and it's been a disastrous season for the Cleveland Browns. It's been we all thought that it was going to go one of two ways. You look at the collection of talent that they put together this offseason, and they were going to be a good team. They're going to be a playoff contender. People got a little too carried away and were already saying they were behind the Patriots and Chiefs as the third Super Bowl contender in the AFC before playing a game together. Well, it turned into a disaster because they brought in a whole bunch of players that, while talented in the likes of Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, Sheldon Richardson, adding Kareem Hunt to the mix, Olivia Vernon, added a lot of good players here, but what do they all have in common? None of them have won a damn thing in their career. And what happened? It blew up. It right in their face, whether it be Odell and the nonsense with the watch, him and Landry, the nonsense with the shoes, Baker Mayfield snapping back at media members after practice. What happened in the Steelers game, losing your best defensive player, and then them actually taunting the league by wearing T-shirts, especially the head coach wearing a T-shirt saying Steelers started it. Everything that could have gone wrong outside of injuries, because thankfully for their sake, no one suffered any season-threatening or career-threatening injuries. Everything that could have went wrong with this team. And now you add to it with the drama that went on the sidelines yesterday with Odell Beckham throwing his helmet at the bench, getting in an animated conversation with Freddie Kitchens after the failed 2-point conversion. And that's what I think it was. I don't think it was he was mad at Freddie Kitchens. I think he was just annoyed by the situation with the failed 2-point conversion. And how can you blame him? I mean, most people would be pissed off with being down by 2 touchdowns, another bad moment in what's been a disappointing season there in Cleveland. The Saints, keep their chase going for the number 1 seed in the NFC. Another record-breaking day for them after last Monday, Drew Brees breaking the career passing touchdowns record. This time, Michael Thomas passes Marvin Harrison's 2002 record for single-season receptions with his 145th reception. And you would have thought the Saints got helped out a little bit here with the fact that Derrick Henry had to sit out with a hamstring injury, but the Titans still ran for $150 on the ground, still had a 14-0 lead early in this game, but surely the Saints began to pick them apart, began to get back in this, and this was kind of a shootout there in the second half, though what turned out to be a turning point for the Titans on the bad side was Khalif Raymond's fumble that gave the Saints the ball back in pretty good field position prior to the drive that Michael Thomas broke the record books. And from there, it was pretty much a good night for the Titans for the day. Now, they're still alive in the postseason race with the loss by the Steelers yesterday. In fact, if they win on Sunday, they would be the 6th seed in the AFC, but it's going to be a tough spot for them. You don't know if they're going to Houston. You don't know if Derrick Henry's going to be available. And you don't know what the Texans' motivation is going to be, because in all likelihood, the Texans are going to be the 4th seed. Are they going to come out there, play their hearts out, knowing that they got to play the following week? Or are they going to be resting guys in the second half, and that opened the door for the Titans to clinch a playoff spot? Not sure exactly what their plan of attack is going to be there, but we talk about Steelers, Titans, those being the teams that in all likelihood will be the 6th seed in the AFC. surprisingly, you can't count out the Oakland Raiders just yet. And I thought they were dead in the water after this 4-game losing streak they had been on, but they go to LA and beat the Chargers yesterday, and now they needed the funny thing is they needed like 10 things to all go their way over these final 2 weeks to get into the playoffs. You know, they needed to win. They needed Tennessee and Pittsburgh both to lose, a couple more, you know, losses here and there. Would it be like from the likes of the Cleveland Browns and whatnot? They needed a whole bunch of things to go their way. Well, 5 of them went their way yesterday. Now they need about 5 more things to go their way this Sunday. All right. They need to defeat the Broncos in Denver. And the Broncos are playing pretty well. Since they put Drew Lock in there at quarterback, he's been balling. He's got his 3rd victory as a starting quarterback and has shown that if he wasn't injured early on in the season, he probably would have taken the reins over sooner. But the Raiders have to beat the Broncos on Sunday in Denver. Then they need the Steelers to lose to the Ravens in Baltimore. They need the Titans to lose to the Texans in Houston. They need the Colts to win to create a 4-way tie. And then this is where it gets tricky with strength of schedule. They need 1 win by either the Chargers, Bears, Patriots, or Lions to have the strength of schedule go their favor and get them in the postseason, and that's how they would be the 6th seed. Did you get all of that? We'll go through it one more time. Raiders win, Steelers lose, Titans lose, Colts win, and then a win by either the Chargers, Bears, Patriots, or Lions gets the Oakland, soon-to-be Las Vegas Raiders into the postseason. Confused? Yes, I'm confused. Not all of this makes sense, but people smarter than me have figured out how this all works out in the end. Of course, the 2 most talked about things over the course of the day, and these were almost, like putting coal in someone's Christmas stocking. What happened to both the Cowboys and the Bears? Yes, sir. With the Cowboys, all they needed to do was go to Philadelphia and win. It didn't matter if it was pretty ugly. All they needed to do was win against a team that has been like a mass unit. You watched them yesterday. Guys are going in and out of that blue tent all day long. Zach Ertz dealing with an injury. Fletcher Cox going in and out of the medical tent, getting his heavily wrapped elbow checked on. It seemed like the corners were tagging each other in and out. We know they're without their top 3 wide receivers, and still Dallas could not get the job done. You watched it yesterday. Had anyone heard of Dallas Goedert before a month and a half ago? No. Boston Scott? No. Miles Austin? No. And these are the guys that are torching that Dallas Cowboys defense. The Eagles gave plenty of opportunities to the Cowboys yesterday afternoon, whether it be leaving Amari Cooper wide open and having Dak Prescott throw over his head. Though, Coop, go up with 2 hands. You're not Odell. You can't catch with 1 hand. Even if it's thrown over your head, go up with 2 hands there. That drove me nuts. Dak overthrows Tavon Austin on what would have been a walk-in touchdown. Had no one around him on this play. And add to the fact that Jason Garrett had his head up his rear end. The fact that, I've let the world know that my quarterback is dealing with some shoulder injuries, but you know what? I'm still going to have him drop back and throw 44 times on Sunday. Meanwhile, I got a running back that my owners owner and GM is paying $15 million per year to, and I'm only going to give him the ball 13 times. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to continue this tell that I've been giving away all year long. If you watch Dallas all year long, you would know that a majority of the time they run the ball on first down. They hand the ball off to Zeke, got him all the way back there in I formation. First down. Don't tell anyone I told you this. It's supposed to be top Cowboys secrets. But that's what they do on first down. And they continue to do it. I'm not saying you can never run on first down, but every time they're starting a drive, first down, hand off to Zeke. First down, hand off to Zeke. And he's getting stopped, 1 yard loss, 4 yard loss. Now, the one turnover that they had on the day was actually on a play. He wasn't on the field. They got the backup in, and he fumbles on that hit by Fletcher Cox that ended any momentum for the Cowboys. And as I mentioned before, the Eagles were giving them opportunities. The corners were playing in coverage. They missed 2 50-yard field goals that gave Dak Prescott great field position, and each time they were settling for field goals. And you give Carson Wentz a lot of credit here. He's been criticized heavily for good reason, mostly because of his fumble issues and some of these heavy turnover games he's had this year. But the fact that he's without his top 3 wide receivers, the fact that most of their offensive play calls have been 3 tight end formations, little dump off plays to running backs that no one's ever even heard of before this month. And he's not just kept them alive thanks to the Cowboys' ineptitude, but kept them alive and come alive late in this game. Deserves a lot of credit for that. And now it's put the Cowboys in a spot where their fans not just got to hope for a win on Sunday, but they got to root for the Giants going up against this Eagles team. And I could think the only thing that's as bad as that, if you're a Cowboy fan, is what happened to the Bears last night, as they got their reminder of what could have been. The fact that the Chiefs, led by Patrick Mahomes, came into Soldier Field and flat out torched them. And this is going to be the story that continues to hang over this franchise's head. The fact that they traded up from 3 to 2 to take Mitchell Trubisky when they could have traded backwards in the draft, gained more draft capital, and taken either Deshaun Watson or the aforementioned Patrick Mahomes, who threw for 250 last night, 2 touchdowns, ran in for a touchdown. And I don't make a big deal of it, the fact that he was counting on his fingers all the players that were drafted ahead of him, because guys are going to have chips on their shoulder when they feel they were passed up on. It's becoming more and more clear he was the best player in that draft. But this is a story that will forever, unless Mitchell Trubisky all of a sudden turns it around, turns into a all-pro quarterback and delivers Chicago a Super Bowl ring. This is a story with how great that Mahomes is and how potentially great Deshaun Watson is, that's going to always hang over his head and this franchise's head of what could have been, and just a miserable way for Bears fans to head into Christmas and their impending off season. All right, I'm going to take another break here, come back on the other side, get to some other things that are going on. We'll get back to some more football a little bit later on. Continue keeping it sports with M3.
I'll be back.
It's been 48 years, Connecticut School of Broadcasting has helped place thousands of people, just like you, in exciting careers in radio, television, and the new media. At Connecticut School of Broadcasting, our hands-on approach is different. It's designed to have you spend less time in the classroom and more time in the studios. From the first day, you'll work with state-of-the-art equipment. Learn by doing from our team of industry professionals who come from their studios to ours. The best part about it, you'll learn it all in a matter of months, not years. Connecticut School of Broadcasting has a network of 12 campuses from Massachusetts to Miami. Remember, it's never too late to love what you do. So do what I did. Call 1-800-TV-RADIO. Step into the fast-paced world of the broadcast media. Day and evening classes begin soon. Connecticut School of Broadcasting. Get trained and get connected now. Call 1-800-TV-RADIO or log on to GoCSB.com.
Welcome back to Keeping It Sports with M3 on this Monday afternoon here. Hope you're all enjoying your day as we're just 2 days away from the big day. The day, as I said earlier, we, try way too hard for it. Just mellow out, calm down, and it's the thought that counts always, not the amount of money you spend on it, not how big, how glitzy, how glamorous it is. Just about showing your friends, family, and loved ones how much you care about them and that you gave 100% effort to show them that. Although, we should kind of do that each and every day of the year. That would kind of create less problems around here. But I digress on that point. Christmas Day, it provides us with one of the more exciting days, especially when it comes to the sports calendar, with all the games that are going on in the NBA. I mean, you got a slate of 5 games. Some of them interesting. Some of them have lost their, at least on their interest level. You start off at noon with Celtics in Toronto to play the Raptors. What do you know? The Raptors finally get a Christmas Day home game. They've been begging for it all this time. They're coming off the high of winning the NBA championship, even with losing Kawhi Leonard in the offseason. And they're losing guys left and right to injury. Without Pascal Siakam, without Marc Gasol, with injuries, other guys dealing with some nicks and bruises, and now they got to play one of their conference rivals, a team that they could see again down the road in the postseason, and they're not going to be able to put their best foot forward in their Hello America moment on Christmas Day. After that, you get the battle of the heavyweights at 2:30. Bucks in the city of brotherly love. Just about 10 miles to the west of here, playing the 76ers. And, it's going to be a challenge there for Joel Embiid. Remember, the gauntlet was thrown down a couple of weeks ago by Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley. And he's had his moments where he's lived up to that potential. But now he's got to guard the rim, potentially go up against Giannis, being the one guy that's got the size and height advantage, potentially beat up Giannis inside and not have let him have so many easy dunks. Also, may have to go out on the perimeter, guard Brook Lopez, because some reason since Brook Lopez left the Brooklyn Nets a couple of years ago, he's become a three-point artist. I mean, had me shocked, surprised, and confused every time I've watched the Bucks game over the last couple of years. But, the pressure's on there for Embiid in that game. A year ago, what would have been a good game, the 5 o'clock game, Raptors-Warriors, we know why that's lost its luster with all the injuries sustained by the Warriors with Steph Curry out potentially for the season. We know Klay Thompson's not playing this year. Essentially, Draymond Green, D'Angelo Russell, and bench of guys that you're picking up off the street to fill out that roster. And there's no Andre Iguodala anymore, no Sean Livingston. It's just a bunch of Jags there. But hey, the Warriors are going to be back. The Warriors, after what they've gone through the last 5 years, the gauntlet they've gone through, going to the NBA Finals of 5 consecutive years. I mean, you look, even though these are young guys, the taxing that put on their body, playing the equivalent of 6 NBA seasons in the course of 5 years, at some point was going to take a turn for the worse. So this is a get-right year, a year where they're going to be bad. They're going to be a lottery team. May have a chance to select James Wiseman with the first overall pick in the draft. But, that it's not about winning this year. Steve Kerr already told you that a month ago. Now, the 8 o'clock game, that's the game, probably the game of the day we're all looking forward to, a battle of LA. Once again, Clippers, Lakers. This time it's a Lakers home game. Although, what I'd actually love to see, I really would love to see this, because you're going to have Lakers fans in there, majority of them. You're going to have a good amount of Clippers fans. I'm sure Billy Crystal will be in the building. He's been a lifelong Clippers fan. What I'd actually like to see them do, and I'm sure they could potentially do this, all right? They'll probably sit in the same respective benches that they would if one was at home. Lakers have their bench being home. Clippers have their bench at home. How about we divide the court? How about we have one half of the court with the Lakers stuff and everything, other side of the court with the Clippers logos and whatnot? I mean, it's really not a true home field advantage for either side, even though the Lakers will have more of a more fan base there. The Clippers, it's not like they got to fly overnight to be there. They could sleep in their own beds, come to the game about 3-4 hours before the game and drive their car right into the building, not have to worry about any of this, taking a bus, all of that, their carry-ons and whatnot. Could leave their stuff in their locker room like normal. That, I think, would be kind of cool, add something to the mix. And then, of course, you got in the later stages that night, Pelicans Nuggets. We know that's lost its luster with the Pelicans being without Zion Williamson all year long. And that's just been unlucky for the league, what's gone on with Zion, because you look at TNT, ESPN, they bought up so many of these games, for national television. I think it was something like 17 of their first 35 games was supposed to be on national television, and he hasn't played in a single one of them. Plus, Pelicans went on that little rut there where they went 13, 14 games in a row without a win from Thanksgiving on. I've just had a overall bad season there. Now, the story of load management has once again come into question with the NBA here, and most of that coming with the back and forth from the Clippers and Lakers, with LeBron's comments last week saying, if I'm healthy, I play. Doc Rivers saying it's our philosophy. I don't know what the Lakers is. I think theirs is whatever LeBron says it is. And now you got the LeBron haters coming out today calling him a hypocrite. Well, about not playing last night. Well, I really believe LeBron on this one. I think we say he doesn't get it sometimes, and there's been some times where he's acted a little A-Rod-ish and been aloof at times in his career. But I think he does realize at this later stage of his career that, if he's healthy, he's going to go out there and play, because there are kids that come to these games. It might be their only chance to see him this year, and he's going to do everything possible to play. I really believe that last night, sitting out against the Nuggets, it was not about, load management, let me prepare for Wednesday night against the Clippers. No. that there had to be something really wrong with this guy. Remember, NBA Finals about 5 or 6 years ago against the Spurs, he left with cramps in game 1. He couldn't play the entire fourth quarter because he started getting dehydrated and was cramping, had a hamstring cramp. I don't think he would just, pull himself for no reason, especially at a time when the Lakers have lost now 3 games in a row with last night's loss, have been very much careless with the ball, turning it over 19 times against the Bucks last Thursday. I think that he would want to be out there and at least play 25 minutes and have a get-right game for this team before they have to play a team that they could see in the Western Conference Finals later this year that they ironically share a building with. Now, we've seen a lot of action in the baseball offseason, quick transition here. And I wanted to get to some baseball thoughts here because we saw some free agent pitchers sign over the last week. 3 left-handed free agents with Gio Gonzalez and Dallas Keuchel signing with the White Sox. And then just last night, Hyun-Jin Ryu signed a 4-year deal with the Toronto Blue Jays. And, 2 things came to my mind when I saw the Hyun-Jin Ryu news. All right, number 1, the Blue Jays are going to be a pain in the ass to deal with next year. Right? I don't think they're a playoff team by any amounts. I think they still need to add another starter to that rotation and redo the bullpen a little bit. But you look at the young players that came up last year that they're starting to develop. Vlad Guerrero Jr., Gurriel, Calvin Biggio, Bo Bichette, all guys that came up from May on, got their first full experience in the big leagues and got better and better as the year went on. I mean, they were a team in the second half. While the record wasn't impressive, you didn't want to play them. You knew up in that building it could be an offensive slugfest with them. Now they add a good pitcher in Ryu to the mix who has had some injury concerns over the last couple of years, but up until the end of August last year, he was going to win the National League Cy Young, but had a bad 5 or 6 start stretch there. This is a really good pitcher that they've added to the mix here, and it adds to my second point. What the hell are the Dodgers doing this offseason? The Dodgers are sitting on their hands. They're doing absolutely nothing. I mean, you look at, they didn't get Strasburg, didn't get Cole, didn't get Rendon, were rumored to be in all of those guys. They didn't get Madison Bumgarner, who it sounded like there was a mutual interest there. They didn't make the trade for Corey Kluber, who you could have gotten for, this hat, my sunglasses, and possibly a bag of Fritos. That's how little the Indians got back for Kluber, just trading away his contract. And there's been rumored interest in signing Josh Johnson, rumored interest in signing Dylan Betances, rumored interest in trading Francisco Lindor. And so far, we're sitting here. I know it's 2 months till pitchers and catchers report, but everyone is doing something. Hell, even the Mets are making signings. And the Dodgers are sitting on their hands saying, we'll just rest on our laurels of winning the division the last 7 years straight. And meanwhile, every contending team or near contending team around them is making moves. And you look at their current rotation. No, I've sang the praises of Walker Buehler. I've said it since the season ended. I'll say it again. Walker Buehler is going to win the 2020 National League Cy Young Award. There, I said it. Hit the breaking news alert, all of that, get the trophy ready for him. This guy is a stud. He's the ace of the rotation. I know Kershaw's still there, and he's a Dodgers legend, but Buehler is the guy now. Kershaw's still good, but Buehler has taken that crown of being their number one guy. But you look at after that, the rotation options. Kenta Maeda, who it turns out he's always their best bullpen option when they get to the postseason. You got young guys like Ross Stripling, Dustin May, Julio Arias, who I feel like we've heard about for 5 years now, and I've seen nothing from him other than a domestic violence suspension, injuries, and solid work out of the bullpen. They needed another starter here, a veteran guy to go in the mix, because you can't go with 3 young guys going into the season. Not when you're a team that's expecting to win the World Series next year. So I'm a little bit surprised by their quietness so far, and gotta wonder what that crew out there in LA is thinking. Are they more concerned about the Lakers and the Clippers playing in the Western Conference Finals than they are getting a team over the hump? Because it's been heartbreaking loss after heartbreaking loss for this franchise each of the last 3 years. Losing to the Astros in a Game 7 at home in the World Series. Getting annihilated by the Red Sox in what a 5-game series that felt like a sweep, quite honest. Outside of that crazy 18-inning game that Max Muncy eventually ended, they really never stood a chance in that series. And then this year, with Kershaw and Joe Kelly blowing Game 5 at home to the eventual World Series champion Washington Nationals, it's been a disappointing end to each of the last 3 years. So you thought the Dodgers would be a little bit more aggressive to end this disappointing run they've been on. All right, I'm going to take one more break here. Reminder, if you're watching live on Facebook or Twitter, you can call in if you feel like it. The number is on the screen there. So you got about 15, 20 minutes left in the podcast to get involved if you feel like doing so. Going to take one last break here, come back on the other side, quickly get into the Jets, the Giants wins yesterday, as well as what is on the line as we head into Week 17 of what's got to be the fastest NFL season I can remember. Continue keeping it sports with M3.
I'll be back.
Connecticut School of Broadcasting founder Dick Robinson.
You know, the media business has changed a lot since we opened our doors in 1964. Now media content is everywhere, on air, online, on the go. More than ever, companies are looking for people to help drive this new media.
At Connecticut School of Broadcasting, you'll get hands-on training on the latest software and equipment in a matter of months, not years. Connecticut School of Broadcasting has placed thousands of grads in broadcast media careers.
It's all about versatility. You see, at a radio station, if you also know how to shoot, edit, and post videos, you become a pretty hot commodity. That's the training you get at Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
Connecticut School of Broadcasting, with locations up and down the East Coast, from Massachusetts to Miami. Call 1-800-TV-RADIO or log on to gocsb.com. Connecticut School of Broadcasting, the nation's oldest and largest group of broadcast media schools, redefining training in radio, TV, and new media. Get trained. Get connected. 1-800-TV-RADIO.
We are from New York. We back the smack talk. You do it your way. We reppin' Broadway.
It feels so good to hear that song. What could potentially be the last time this year, because I'm not exactly sure how the Bills are going to play things this Sunday with everything locked up, but figured I'd get that song in there one more time with the Jets winning yesterday at MetLife, sticking it to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and knocking them out for now of a playoff spot. They're still technically alive, but it wasn't pretty by any means. Sam Darnold felt like more of a game manager yesterday. He almost threw an interception at one point to Fitzpatrick. Thankfully, he didn't catch that, and then he had the fumble right before halftime on the sack by T.J. Watt, which I don't think he ever saw Watt coming from his peripheral vision there. But give the Jets a lot of credit. Finally, Adam Gase gave the ball to Le'Veon Bell, a heavy dose yesterday. The only knock you really have on Bell is that play he tried to pull off in the second quarter where he actually ended up losing 13 yards on, where he tried going to his left, looked like he was going to be stopped, tried to completely turn the field. And as we've seen, when guys, whether it's on the kickoff, a carry, when they try to turn the field like that, it never works out in their favor. So, but I was finally glad to see him get the ball 25 times there in the game, get a heavy workload. Took you till week 16, Adam. Really, why'd you wait so long? Wait until they were completely out of postseason contention. But I also give credit to this defense. The fact that they knock Devlin Hodges, and I think we could stop calling him Duck now, Devlin Hodges out in the first quarter when he threw 2 quick interceptions, caused Mason Rudolph to come in, and he gets hurt in the second quarter when he gets leg whipped and falls down on his throwing shoulder. Was seen wearing a brace as he was leaving the game. He gets hurt, forcing Hodges to come back into this game. And quite frankly, Hodges showed why he also is a backup and why the Steelers need to find their long-term successor to Ben Roethlisberger when he finally retires. But I give the Jets, the defense played very hard yesterday, and even a game that didn't matter. You finally saw Quinnen Williams make a play, which I had to blink a couple times, make sure that was for real. Jamal Adams came back, gave the team a little bit of a lift. And the biggest credit I give to yesterday was 2 people. One, Marcus May on what would turn out to be the last real play of the game with about 45 seconds left. There's that long pass down the field by Devlin Hodges, and he knocks the ball out of James Washington's hands before he can hit the ground right at the end zone. And 2, I give credit to Greg Williams, because you look at what could have been a disastrous turning point for the Jets at halftime. You have the fumble by Darnold, then Rudolph has the long throw down the field in which the kid, Bless Austin, just gets burned, lets the receiver get behind him for a touchdown with 9 seconds to go. Greg Williams benched Bless Austin after that, and he's shown a discipline and accountability with this team that we haven't seen from previous regimes with previous guys, especially with Todd Bowles. So I'm glad to see that. And, I was discussing this with one of my friend's dads yesterday. I've never been of the mindset of wanting to lose games, wanted to tank. I mean, a couple years ago, I was okay with it because they needed the quarterback, but now I want to see them win games. I wanted to stick it to the Steelers yesterday, and, a win means, in all likelihood, Sam Darnold played at the very minimum okay, and that's what you got out of him. There was nothing spectacular yesterday, but there was nothing bad from him, and you saw this team, they haven't, as bad as Gase has been, haven't quit on the team all year, came out, looked like the hungry team. They look like the team that was actually playing for something. And, now they got 1 game left in the season. See what the motivation is against Buffalo. So I was okay with the win yesterday. And, I've seen Giant fans freaking out all day about their win yesterday. They win in overtime in Washington against the Redskins, a game that was absolutely crazy, and the battling back and forth. And you have Haskins leave the game with an injury. Case Keenum comes in. He leads them on 2 touchdown drives in the fourth quarter, including a touchdown in the final minute after a pass interference penalty, tie up the game heading to overtime. And you had such a weird vibe for this game. You have Giant fans rooting for the Redskins, Redskin fans rooting for the Giants. Both teams wanted to lose to increase their draft odds. And I can understand it on the case of the Giants, because with the loss, it put the Redskins ahead of you in the draft order, and now that's potentially handing Chase Young right to your arch rival, a potential great pass rusher that you're now going to have to deal with for the next decade. But let's look at the positives here outside of your head coach. Your young rookie quarterback comes back after missing the last 2 games, and he throws for 350 and 5 touchdowns. Looked like he hasn't missed a beat. He fumbled the football once. That's still something got to work on there, but didn't lose the football there. And your all-world running back, who everyone was quick to put in Canton before this down year he's had, finally came alive and showed his greatness for one of the first times this year, and had 2 touchdowns and over 270 yards through on the ground and receiving. I mean, it was a great day offensively for this Giants team, especially for 2 guys that you expect to be the pillars of this franchise going forward. I mean, I understand it. You wanted Chase Young. You wanted that guy that looks like we're looking at the next Khalil Mack, the next Von Miller, the next. No, I don't want to go as far and say that he's going to be your next LT, but looks like he's going to be that next edge rusher that this team has lacked for a long time. And it's the kind of guy that can play both linebacker and a defensive end, depending on if James Betcher, your defensive coordinator, is still there next year. In all likelihood, he won't be. And you switch from a 3-4 to a 4-3. I understand that you wanted that player, but isn't it better for you to continue to watch the growth of your young quarterback, continue to watch your star running back, who you probably shouldn't have taken with the number 2 overall pick, and watch him have one of his not just best games of the season, but best games of his career? And yeah, if you can get the top pick, cool. But to sit there and actively root for your team to lose, I've never quite understood that. I've never quite understood how it's one thing if you're like the Bengals and your team scored 2 touchdowns in the final minute, gets an onside kick, and you're wanting your team still to lose, so you lock down the first overall pick. I can understand that because you're looking for your future quarterback there. I mean, they might as well announce Joe Burrows to the Cincinnati Bengals right now. Not waste anybody's time. Have Goodell already give him the hat, the jersey, the handshake, the fake hug, where you'll see Joe Burrows loving Goodell at that point and then hating him within an hour and a half like every player in the league does. Not have to waste all of our time because we know that that's going to happen in late April. It's understandable when you're looking for the quarterback, the most opponent position on the field. Understandable if you're a Dolphin fan and they're still looking for their franchise quarterback, which they haven't had since Dan Marino retired 20 plus years ago. But when it's just, you want the glitz, the glamour position, whether it's a running back, wide receiver, an edge rusher, maybe sometimes those guys don't always turn out to be what you want. And sometimes, it's better win games, get experience for the guys you have, get them having a good feeling going forward. You don't want to continue to be in this cycle of wanting to lose just so that you get the the top picks in the draft, because as we've seen over the years, no matter what sport it is, that never guarantees a thing, especially in the NFL draft. We've seen guys who are busts in the first round, and then we've seen Hall of Famers come from rounds 3 on. I mean, really, I've never understood it. So just calm yourselves on the whole tanking philosophy. Now, we got one last weekend of NFL action, full weekend of NFL action. Then we get to the main event. We get to the NFL postseason. But thankfully, there's still a lot up for grabs going into this last week, especially, pending the outcome of Monday Night Football tonight with the Packers and the Vikings, with the NFC North title within the Packers' grasp. They win, they lock down the division, still in the hunt for a first round bye and home field advantage in the NFC postseason. And I'll do a podcast on that tomorrow. You can check out M3's opinion on anchor.fm/M3's opinion for that recap. But pending the outcome here, you could have a scenario with the Saints playing the Panthers, Packers, Lions, and Vikings versus the Bears, all three trying to run down the 2 seed. And the Saints and Packers still potentially vying for the 1 seed, depending on what happens with the 49ers and Seahawks on Sunday Night Football, with the NFC West crown on the line there. And what's interesting, you look at all of the possibilities for the 49ers. The 49ers could either be the 1 seed. That's easy. If they win, they're that. They lose, they could either be the 5 or the 6 seed. The Seahawks, they could either be the 1, 2, 3, or 5 seed, depending on how things break with tiebreakers and strength of schedule compared to the Packers and Saints. So you've got that up for grabs. Then you've got the final spot in the AFC postseason. Steelers playing the Ravens at 4:25. Titans are at the Texans at the very weird time of 5:25, if I saw that correct. And then the Raiders are still alive for the postseason. And I went through it before. I'll go through it again. Raiders get in the postseason if they win. The Steelers lose. Titans lose. The Colts win, creating a 4-way tie, and then 1 win by either the Chargers, Bears, Patriots, or Lions. That's probably the weirdest one of them all. You still got the 2 seed for the AFC postseason up for grabs. Chiefs at playing against the Chargers, Patriots against Dolphins. Patriots win, simple, they get a bye. Chiefs win combined with a Patriots loss. The Chiefs will get the bye, and the Patriots will have to play on the very daunting wild card weekend. And as we've seen, they've never won a Super Bowl in the years that they've had to play that. And then there's my favorite thing that's on the line. I got way too much enjoyment out of this yesterday. I got too much enjoyment out of this because I was clearly rooting for the Eagles against the Cowboys. First off, my cousin-in-law, Eric, who's probably my favorite cousin, is a diehard Philadelphia Eagles fan. Secondly, I can't stand Dallas Cowboy fans. I mean, I have friends that are Dallas Cowboy fans that are probably hurting today. My buddies Jeff, Brett, amongst others. I'm sure they're pissed off, annoyed. I saw at least one of them flipping out on social media earlier today. And that's understandable because the team got off to such a good start, 3-0, and they've been 4-8 since, won 1 game against a team with a winning record at the time they played them, that being the Rams last week. But now they're in a spot where they have to win and they need the Eagles to lose. And I'm wondering what would be the most painful way for the Dallas Cowboys is season to end. Because I don't think they're making the postseason. I think that's the least likely option of everything I'm about to mention. Cowboys win Eagles lose at the Giants, which is possible, but I don't think those two things are going to coincide with each other. What would be most painful for Cowboy fans? They're sitting there, they're watching the team play the Redskins at 4:25. They look up at the scoreboard and they see out at MetLife Stadium, the Eagles are blowing out the Giants at halftime and win going away. And you're having fans leave Cowboys Stadium in the middle of the third quarter knowing that their season is over. There's that option. There's option 2, which is the Cowboys win their game. They see the Eagles losing with about 2 minutes to go, and then Carson Wentz leads the Eagles on some crazy 8-play, 90-yard drive in the final 2 minutes, in which most of the plays are dump-offs to the likes of a Goddard or a Boston Scott. Once again, guys no one ever even heard of before this month, and they scored the game-winning touchdown in the final 10 seconds of the game at a MetLife Stadium that is going to probably be majority Eagles fans this Sunday. Or there's option 3. And this, to me, would probably be my favorite. And this shows how cruel, how evil I am in my sports fan heart. All right? Eagles lose at the Giants, which is entirely possible. All right? The Cowboys still got 3 minutes to go in their game. They're up by 1-2 points or tied with the Redskins. That gets shown up on the scoreboard there in Dallas, and the crowd starts going wild, starts getting all hyped up like, yeah, all we got to do is win our game. And then what happens is either Case Keenum, Dwayne Haskins, who's ever starting at quarterback for them next week, leads them down the field. They get in position for Tress Way to hit a 50-yard field goal as the buzzer is going off, as time's expiring for the Redskins to win the game. That to me, if that happened, Eagles lose, and then the Cowboys see it, and then lose on a walk-off field goal, something like that in the final 3 minutes, would be, that would probably be the cherry on top of what's been a very miserable year for the Cowboys these last 2 months. Haven't heard much of how about them Cowboys these last couple weeks. Haven't heard much of the heavy talk, heavy bravado from all of their fan base. I mean, after all these games, you notice the likes of Michael Irving, Skip Bayless, all of the Cowboy shills out there on social media. You notice they've been pretty much quiet in the minutes and hours after a Cowboys defeat this year. I wonder how they're going to handle their season coming to such a crushing end, because, yeah, yesterday was a heartbreaker for them. But I'm telling you, I can feel it in my cold black sports fan heart. There's more pain coming. There's going to be that cherry on top with the Eagles winning the NFC East this Sunday. If I'm wrong, I'll come on here next week and apologize. But I have a feeling it's going to be a very brutal, painful, sickening end of the year for the Dallas Cowboys and their fan base. And all you're going to be hearing people mock them say, how about them Eagles? That would be one way to really have coal in your stocking. And that, my friends, was Keeping It Sports with M3 for Monday, December 23rd, 2019. Hey, everyone, be safe. Enjoy your holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa. Everyone out there, whatever your religious beliefs are, whatever your celebratory beliefs are, I hope you all enjoy the holiday season. Talk to you guys again, same time next week to close things out for 2019. Merry Christmas, everyone.
We have to go. Good night, everybody.
I have had enough of you!
Thank you for all the fun. Thank you. Hey, shut up, will ya?
I don't want to see you, I don't want to hear you, I don't want to smell you. Now leave. I'll be back.